Should have been here earlier.
Where'd Lauren
Yeah.
run off to?
I'm gonna put everybody on mute while you're talking.
We got spotlights there.
I know.
Should have put more makeup on.
Your beard.
Call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Mary Beth.
Nelson. Orison.
Here,
Larson. Here. Winchell.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Reed. Here. Bulk.
Here.
Item 3 is the consent agenda. A is a motion to approve the city council minutes of November 21, 2022. B is a motion for licenses. Approve ownership update for Hy-Vee store at 819 Grand Avenue and Hy-Vee Gas at 727 Grand Avenue. Renewal of Class B beer permit with Sunday sales for Tienda y Carcenera La Morenita, subject to final approval by the Iowa ABD. C is a resolution authorizing permanent transfer of funds of budgeted transfers for the month ending November 30, 2022. D is a motion to approve purchase of firefighting turnout gear from Veridian Fire Protective Gear in the amount of $20,000, a CIP item. E is a resolution to provide a notice of hearing on proposed plans and specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for 2023 East Side reconstruction and sewer project.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Tracy, seconded by Donovan. Any discussion? Please vote by machine.
Larson, I. Winchell, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Bulk, I. Orison.
aye.
Consent agenda approved. We have no public hearings or old business, so we will go to item 6, new business. First, 6A is a motion to approve a change order on 2021 4th Street overlay project as required by the Iowa DOT to clean up any quantities that were not paid at 100% net increase of $30,846.78. Construction increase of $38,846.78 minus the liquidated damages of $8,000.
I make that motion that we approve change order number 1.
Motion made by Brian,
I'll second that.
second by Ron. Any discussion?
Yeah, is there
Yeah.
somebody here that can explain that real briefly, especially on the liquidated damage? And did they miss the deadline? Is it?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So this, as you remember, this is a DOT contract. City's the local public agency, but it's administered through the city. But ultimately, we've signed on to the DOT specification. So the original contract had 35 working days. The curb and gutter work that we added 10 more days. So that was a total of 45 days, and they actually had 53 working days charged to the project. So I did talk to the DOT, and they were pretty firm about going forward with the liquidated damages. That's kind of what they said when you agreed to sign on for the grant money. You agreed to their specification, and we tried to be as generous as we could with the contractor, just because they worked with us doing some extra work. But ultimately, this is how we're moving forward. So, if you guys agree.
Are we getting major kickback from the general on this one? 'Cause
Actually,
even though
not at
it's a
all.
DOT, it's our name and face on the line here. So.
Yep. So the general contractor was Blacktop Services. They were not the issue with the timing. It was their concrete subcontractor that was the issue, so. Blacktop Services really isn't having an issue with this because it just falls back on to the sub liquidated damages, so. I would say Blacktop Services actually brought in 2 crews to get their work done as fast as they could, so, props to them, but, ultimately, they couldn't get the concrete contractor to move any faster, really, so.
Okay, anyone else?
Brian, on the fund, on this net increase, where does the funding come from? I mean, what's the breakdown on the city's cost, added cost? Is there anything, or is it all DOT absorbed on this?
No, we had city participation, so we'll go through, it'll probably street reserves. So I'm assuming I'll have to look at the change order to see where what the cost was, that we had storm sewer reserve going into it, street reserve and that, so we'll look at where the cost, that 30,000 is and divide it out.
Okay, thank you.
That was kind of how it was set up too originally. The original contract was in the amount of $661,000, which ended up being about $174,000 less than what was in the CIP budget. So that's why we did the extra work, I think, at the time, so.
Okay. Thank you much. Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 6B is a resolution accepting work for the 2021 4th Street Overlay Project.
I'll make that motion.
Here, I'll introduce it.
Okay, you got the first bill, and Donovan got the second. Any discussion? Please vote by machine.
Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Bulk, I. Orison.
Aye.
Resolution carries. That's all the new business we have for tonight, so we'll move right ahead with department head reports. So, Planning Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Planning Department welcomed a new face to staff this week, Building Services official, my replacement, Dane Ross, a very bright, eager young man, skillful addition to the Planning Department. We've been grooming him in with inspections, day-to-day correspondence, and training. The November permit report is out for your viewing pleasure. With the change of season, permits and inspections have decreased slightly. Staff performed the sidewalk snow removal inspections for the November 29th snow event and reported the results to Rigby Contracting, the snow removal contractor. Currently, I have an RFP out for the removal of 2 structures on the North Y intersection property. I've received 4 to 5 parties with interest, and I'll be expecting proposals by the end of January 2023 for the removal of the 40 by 60 pole barn and I believe it's a 30-foot diameter green bin. And then going forward, we have a cemetery tour with the Historic Preservation Commission tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Anyone's welcome to come. Historic Preservation is looking to have a lecture series on the cemetery, current operation, and then past history of certain things, and anyone's welcome to come. Other than that, the department is performing inspections as they come in and assisting the developmental needs of the community.
Okay.
Any questions?
Hey, Adam, I got just one.
Yep.
Where do we stand, or are you at a point where you can give an update on your inspections with the Caskey?
Yes, well, we're currently at, I don't have the full details in front of me per all the units, but 11 units have power. We have, and Don is involved as well as Steve. We have received Don's list of items in return from our inspection reports. So we're going through those in-house technically in comparison with Don's guidance.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay, library. Sarah Beth.
Good evening. Not a whole lot to report from the library. Just came from Grand Meander there. We had around 200 people the first hour tonight, so it was a good turnout for Life-Size Candyland. So, events coming up next Monday with the Kids No School Day. We're going to have Bree, the county naturalist, again. This time she's going to be talking about reptiles, amphibians, and birds. During Christmas break, there's going to be a 2-day workshop on drones, and that's going to be for 4th through 8th graders. So if you guys have any kids interested in that, I think 2 hours each day, and then the second day they'll actually get to fly the drone. So should be a cool one. And then January 1st, we are launching our winter reading program, which we've done like a sort of passive teen winter reading program, but this is the first time we're doing it for all ages. Won't be as big a deal as our summer reading program, and we're trying out a new app called Bean Stack where people can track their reading and whatnot for that. So otherwise, business as usual.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Not a question, but just a comment. Sarah Beth, I had an individual stop me over the weekend, and I wanted to relay they just so impressed with the library as of late, and had nothing but extremely positive things to say about you personally. And yes, I know, right? I would echo that. You've really stepped into the role, and you're doing a fantastic job.
Well, thanks.
Thanks.
All right.
Fire, Chief John.
Good evening, council, mayor, manager. Your city fire department answered 67 calls for service over the month of November, including 18 calls for fires, which included smoke in a home, kitchen fire, car fires, loader fires, as well as a couple of gas leaks. On the EMS side of things, we had quite a few fall victims and difficulty breathing. I'd like to address the fall victims just briefly. For those of us that are citizens that have friends that have a little bit of clutter in their home or have extension cords, these are easy things that can be remedied so we don't slip, trip, or fall. Sometimes they are an accident, but there's no need for somebody to recklessly just fall. So check on a friend if you can out there. Appreciate it. Our ambulance in the room in our station had one call with leg pain. We had 5 special calls. We answered 2 mutual aid requests for Fostoria and Dickens for a house fire, and then also mutual aid with Royal Fire for a large grass fire. We did give a young lady a great ride to school as being the best reader in town. Under training, we also visited Spencer High School for some pre-planning. We also did some jumpstart triage training as well as some live fire training. Speaking of training, we will be hosting with the Fire Service Training Bureau from the state of Iowa, we're going to be holding an instructor class for all area fire departments as well. As I conclude, I'd like to say thank you, and please review the 13 Safety Days of Christmas, both on the website of the city as well as our fire department website. Also, December 18th, our fire department will be working with Upper Des Moines and UPS delivering toys to all. And lastly, may you all have a joyous, and the citizenry out there, a joyous, happy holiday season. Thanks.
Okay, Police, Chief Warburton.
Good evening. The Spencer Police Department responded to 832 calls for service and made 39 arrests last month. Training this last month, we sent 3 officers and 1 dispatcher to Council Bluffs for peer support training. This was put on by the First Responder Foundation. Virtually no charge to the police department besides for room and board. These individuals will be utilized within the department for debriefings on critical incidents. So I think this is going to be a big plus for our guys and their mental health. Second, I'd like to announce that we hired Turner Soden today as our newest police officer. He will start January 2nd. He replaces Shiloh Brevik's open position as he took the Milford Police Chief job. Wish Shiloh well up there. And then a miracle happened today. The Iowa Law Enforcement Academy said they had an opportunity to get him in the January 2nd Academy or January 3rd Academy. So we are going to be pushing it, but we're going to get him into that academy, which bumps up our timeline by almost 4 months. So that's huge for the police department. I attended a crisis management class for school-based incidents. It was put on by the Homeland Security up in Spirit Lake. This was a good meeting to collaborate with Spencer Schools, who also attended. Some good things came out of that meeting as far as unity here within the department. So a snow event occurred November 29th. Last year, we did really, really well as far as being compliant with snow events, as far as the general public moving their vehicles off the city streets. In this case, we were not. There was over 30 violations that night in the city of Spencer. Now, we wrote warnings to everybody on the very first snow event here. And that would have cost every person that was violated that ordinance $100, or their vehicle would have been towed to the police department at a cost of $100 as well. So I'd like to review with the general public here what actually constitutes a snow event. And that's when the National Weather Service predicts a snow accumulation of 2 inches or more in the city, or if the new snow accumulation has reached 2 inches as measured at KISD radio station. So what that means for the general public is there's no parking on city streets from midnight till 7 a.m. And that snow ordinance will continue for 48 hours after the snowfall is ended. So the biggest question I have is, how do I know when we're actually moving vehicles off the city streets? And the best thing I can tell you to do is watch KICD News. They'll have that posted on their closings. You can look at our Facebook, like us on Facebook, or sign up for the Clay Alert message. Now, that Clay Alert message will send out a message to your phone at 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Advising you of the snow event process and telling you to move the vehicles off the city streets. Now, we're asking the general public to, if they see a violator of their neighbors or anything that's in violation, please give your neighbor a call, give them the heads up in case they missed it. But otherwise, the best thing I can tell you to do, that Clay Alert message that the city pays for this process is definitely worth its weight in gold and will help a lot of frustrations in the morning. Because if we'd have wrote everybody tickets, there would have been a lot of complaining here. Right, and a lot of people would have missed their vehicles in the morning. So we want to make sure that we get compliance, and I think that's the easiest way to do it. So, have any questions for me?
Just a comment, Chief. I appreciate your comments on the snow event. Last Wednesday, I think it was, had the mayor's update, and Mark White and I talked about that as well, even though it was a day late. We were a few dollars short, evidently. But anyway, and we talked about the process as well. So I think the more we can get that message out to folks and get that number down from 31 to under 10, we could would say that's a success.
Last year, we really had it down, and I think maybe people just kind of got out of the habit or the routine. Last year, there was a lot of times that we had under 5 violations per snow event. So this process works. It's just a matter of getting everybody used to back to winter parking.
Yeah.
So
thanks a lot.
And then, Chief, can you, how would someone sign up for the Clay Alert? I'm assuming it's on our website, but do you also have that?
You can go to the city's website, and you have to search all the way down to the bottom of the page. So it's kind of hidden down at the bottom right-hand corner of the page. You can go ahead and sign that up, and all it requires is your phone number and your carrier to be put in there, and then that message will go out.
Thank you. And then I have one more additional question. Could you advise the jurisdictional lines in reference to speed enforcement up on the north end of town?
Sure.
And how that lies?
Sure. So, within the North Y intersection, our road goes up to the edge of that intersection. Okay? So the actual intersection where 99% of all these accidents take place, that is county. So everything there in north up on Highway 71 is the county up there. So that is theirs to enforce up in that area.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay. Thanks, Chief. Public Works.
Good evening. Kind of variable weather conditions during November allowed us to do different types of projects. Of course, we did have the snow events that we worked on. bladed the alleys before the froze up. Also, if you've been to the tree site, they've been doing a lot of work at the tree site, have sifted all the ash, moved that material out. We're finally got some conditions where it's safe to be able to burn. So a lot of our tree waste, we are burning currently. With a lot to go, but we're able to get that done. We've done a lot of sewer camera work and some root cutting. Also, the Christmas decorations went up, if you noticed that. Thank you to SMU, the street division, and Iowa Lakes Electric also helped as a group. You'll notice there isn't quite as many up. Some of them aren't able to go up anymore because of condition. So I think there'll be a group formed here in the future, or there is, to talk about possibly reviewing that and maybe getting something changed for next year. Also, we cut willows around the airport. We have year-end reports and some underground tank renewals, et cetera, that type of stuff in the public works. Landfill is, we worked on some planning for next year, maybe taking part of the farm ground out of production in preparation for the new cell that will come in. Also, our future projects will be for continued tree site work as long as the window is there without too much snow and not having to move snow on the streets. We're doing a major refurb on a dump body at the street division. Also, we're doing some pretty heavy-duty metal fab work for gear reducers on the RBCs. We ordered in some steel for that came in today. So that'll be future projects and should keep us busy.
Any questions for Mark? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, Bob Fuller is, Fullhart, is not here tonight, but he did submit a written report. Brian Moore is not here, but if you didn't read his Sunday report, it was, again, a very thorough one as well. So now we go down to the city attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. November was a typical month. Again, involved about 35 hours of service. The largest category during that month was working with the building department on the mobile home park. In response to Councilman Reed's question, we met just this morning to plan a municipal infraction procedure in the magistrate's court. We still want to address three primary areas. One is the general nuisance. Two, as Adam said, there are 11 homes that have been approved and are occupied and powered. There are about 10 that are not occupied. They're secured. They're supposed to be secured and locked up. And then there's another 10, some of which should be removed. Well, all of which should be either removed or repaired. And there's also a problem with emergency vehicle access. So we've drafted and finalized just this afternoon a 3-count municipal infraction citation addressing those issues. I'm going to sit down with the owner and his attorney and see if we can get them to accept that approach without having a court hearing. But if either they'll agree or we'll have a court hearing and we'll ask the judge to impose some requirements there. So that's where we are with that project.
Okay. Any questions for Don? Okay. Human Resources.
Good evening. For the month of November, some things I've been working on in my department of one. Recruiting, interviewing, and onboarding the building services official mentioned by Adam. We're very excited to have Dane on board. We now just have one position open, which is the 911 dispatch position. We do have an interview upcoming this week, so fingers crossed on that. But we do continue to take applications until we announce that it's filled. So anyone interested can visit the SpencerIowaCity.com careers page to apply. I conducted the flex enrollment meetings with staff and completed the admin side of that process. We used the employee self-service ESS website to take it digital this year instead of paper documents, and I think that went really well. I appreciate Brian's help on that. And then I began working on the succession planning for key city positions. So as I work through that, I'll touch base with Dan, work with him on that, and then with department heads and keep council abreast of that. But that's a goal that I've had, so working on that. And then the leadership and communication class that I've developed for the city class after going to some public legal classes and communication classes for public entities will begin in January for the frontline staff, starting with the managers and supervisors. And then Dan and I met with the Spencer Community ADA group recently, as well as the mayor, and continuing to help them restructure their group and working in tandem with the in-house group that we established as a task force with each of the department heads. So next on that, we'll be working through some action items that we've identified, and that'll be over the next few months here. And lastly, we've made it to 326 days without an accident for work comp, so knock on wood there, that we'll make it to 1 year, so. Any questions for me?
Okay. Thank you much. Engineers report.
Good evening again. Quick update up on the North Water Quality Project on the Iowa Lakes College campus there. BD Construction has finished placing the mulch and the riprap in those 2 cells up there. There was an SRF official on site last week. They kind of conducted an inspection of the construction, and that all went well. They were happy with how things looked. The only thing left up there is to do the plantings, and that'll happen in the spring. On the 25th Street and 11th Avenue Southwest Sewer Extension, Valley Contracting has been back on site since the beginning of last week. They continue to work on laying sewer main. They've got about 600 feet constructed, which is about 20% of the project. They're digging through anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of frost already on the surface. But we'll continue to keep working as long as conditions kind of allow. And last was a Northwide development. We continue to work on design of the infrastructure up there. We are still on track for a February bid letting at this point. Jim's provided some initial design information to Quickstar so they can work on their site design. And he did kind of learn that Quickstar's construction window appears to be the spring of 2024. So they are out quite a ways, and our schedule does work for them. So, any questions?
One question, on that north storm sewer, I've heard that we've had a few accidents on that already. What are our thoughts on, lighten that or get some signage, or what are we thinking on that?
So I do know we did end up with 1 car in one of the cells that I know of. And I know there were some delineators placed around the outside with some reflective tape on them. We've also tied some ribbon on those delineators. I think in the future, we may try and paint those curbs to try and make them more visible.
Yeah, the problem even with the paint though will be if you get that 2 or 3 inch snow.
Sure.
When you get all that, it looks like.
Yep. And I believe the one that the car did drive in is directly under a light pole, so it's well lit even, and
Yeah.
that may have just been an unfortunate accident.
But I see the problem if we get a 4, 5, 6 inch snow.
Yep.
That may very well look just like the rest of the parking lot after that blows in and gets even and stuff, so.
Yep. Probably something we may have to review a little more depending on how things work out, I guess, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay. City managers report. Oh, Bill. Yes.
Question, Ross may have made the comment or told us about it, but what's the total footage of that 25th sewer? We got 600 and some. What percentage of that is completed?
It's about 20% of the pipe that has to be constructed. It's about
All right, thank you.
3,100 feet on the project.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Ross. Okay. City managers report, Dan?
I got a couple things, I better turn this on. Got a couple things. I mentioned in my update last week that I have a meeting this week with, a firm that called the Retail Coach, similar to Buxton, but, enough difference that, we're gonna explore that a little bit, and at some point, if we think it's different enough from Buxton, we'll bring that back to a committee of the whole or something to get a presentation on just what they can do for us. I know some of us have seen some of their data. It's pretty impressive. And some of the potential retail possibilities out there that they flagged us with are pretty enticing. So we want to explore that a little bit more. but I'll let you know. Also, we had a finance committee meeting recently, talk about, the changing up the CIP process, and out of that meeting, it became clear that we need to have another finance committee meeting to go over, potential bonding capacity since we have the CIP, and we're talking about bonding for some of that, and the WOW projects and the facility study. So sometime after Bill gets back, first part of January, we'll have another finance committee meeting, and the idea would be to have a proposal of a debt amount that the finance committee is comfortable with to bring back to the council for committee of the whole or something for a further discussion. But like I said, that's what, with all this, with holidays and everything, it's just gonna be better with, wait till Bill gets back the first week in January, and we'll move on with that, and you'll hear more about that later.
Okay, any questions for Dan? Okay. Item 10, under the mayor's report, I just have one thing tonight, maybe two. First of all, it was my pleasure tonight to be part of one of Spencer's long-standing traditions, the Grand Meander. And Spencer Reads had a new addition, a new program this year in which they had different people reading to kids. And thanks to Sarah Beth for providing me with Llama Llama, no holiday drama, and I think Santa the Greatest Toy Maker or something like that. So number one toy expert. Yeah, excuse me. Do you know the author? Don't worry about it. Okay. And but anyway, it was really fun, and I think the kids had a great time, and I did as well. So it's a great event for our community. And the other thing, with regard to downtown, talking to Sharifa Jones from the Chamber and Nancy Nave from Main Street, Shop Small Saturday was a great success, and I would encourage Spencer residents to continue to shop downtown and shop Spencer for your Christmas presents this year. So, okay, with that, council and committee reports.
All I have right now is the next regular council meeting on the 19th.
Okay. All right. Item 12, I'd entertain a motion to approve the bills and claims.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Bill.
I'll second.
Second by Brian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 13, other business, opportunity to address the council.
Mayor, just want to,
Yes.
relay that the Northwest Iowa League meeting is next week, this, whatever Thursday is, and I believe it's in Hartley.
Okay.
So, Everly, that's what I meant. So let Mary Beth know by the end of the week or first part of next if you'd like
Okay.
to attend. So I saw the announcement come out, I think, today. So, yeah, that'll be coming up next week.
Short drive for us over there.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Tracy. Don't all jump at once here.
I knew it was coming from this side somewhere.
Yeah.
That's your guy.
I'll second it.
Second by Donovan. Yeah. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned.
That's how we make it so they